All right, here we go. Thank you so much for joining me. And I know your time is super, super valuable today. So thank you for sharing this hour or so with me. You're going to want to stay till the end. I will warn you about that. I do have a special freebie just for the folks who are joining me live. You will want to get your hands on this once you get the information in this training. So let's get right into it. If you're a busy woman who's struggling to lose weight, feel healthy, resolve weird digestive issues, or are pretty sure your changing hormones are to blame, then you're about to learn exactly how to overcome your intense food cravings so you can finally lose weight for good. But first, I want to know, which of these are you struggling with right now? You can pop the number into the comments if you'd like. Number one, intense food cravings, those ones that keep you up at night, or the ones that make it really difficult to do your work or even think straight. Maybe it's number two, those super embarrassing and annoying digestive issues, the ones that force you to know exactly where the nearest bathroom is at any given moment, or the ones that stop you from spending the night away from home out of fear of clogging the toilet. Maybe it's number three, you just don't feel sexy or like date night is kind of a bust lately. Maybe number four, your hormones are out of control. Hello, menopause. Maybe hot flashes and night sweats are ruining your life. More exercise seems to lead to more midsection fluff, or your moods are wacky, to say the least. Nothing seems to work to lose weight, and just looking at a cookie makes you gain 5 pounds. That's number five. So maybe it's more than one of those. Maybe it's just one. Everything's okay, right? We're going to deal with that today. If any of it sounds familiar, we're about to forge a brand spanking new path that starts today. It's a path that doesn't require you to give up all your favorite foods, stick to a super restrictive diet, or take expensive and potentially dangerous weight loss drugs. When you try to lose weight and you're having intense cravings for all those foods that you're trying to avoid, you're never going to lose weight, right? Cravings are a real problem, especially as we get older, because it feels like there's nothing we can do to stop them besides eating those 12 donuts at once. The answer isn't to just try to avoid those foods. You know as well as I do, if you tell a toddler not to do something, they're gonna do it, right? Think of your brain as a toddler. Um, It will rebel if given the chance. You need a plan, something that goes beyond eat less and work out more. Oh, sorry, my slides are giving me some issues here. Okay. So if you're thinking right now that I just don't know if I can do this until I have more time, more money, more energy, things slow down, whatever the case is, I get it. But I want you to just pause for a minute and write down this one mindset shift that, wherever you're taking notes, or you can take a screenshot of this if you're not watching this on your phone. I am not broken. My body is not broken. Restriction and guilt are optional, and I'm choosing a different way. How does that sound? I want you to start learning to trust your body, but before you can do that, you need to start listening to what she's saying. And beating yourself up for things that haven't gone well in the past or striving to do all the things is going to get in the way of you listening to your body and what your body really needs. No matter what has or hasn't worked in the past, or what's getting more and more difficult as you head into this next stage of life, what I'm going to share today will apply to you. So let's get started. First up, just a quick medical disclaimer here. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is for informational and educational uses only. Should not be used to diagnose, treat, or prevent any illness or condition. We're going to kick things off with a big old truth bomb. If the things you've done in the past to lose weight have stopped working and now you're left with super intense cravings, weird digestive issues, and generally just feel like a mess, You don't have a hormone or a willpower problem. You have a gut bug problem. My goal for this training is to help two types of people. If you're a woman struggling to lose weight and resolve embarrassing or annoying digestive issues, but you're not yet experiencing menopause symptoms, my goal is to help you gain energy now and set you up to have a great transition into the menopausal years when it's your time. And if you are currently in menopause and are looking to lose weight, my goal is to help you cut through all the noise and give you the tools and strategies that actually work. Either way, we're doing this by addressing what's going on in the gut so you can cut those cravings. Before we get into the step-by-step of this process, I want to just briefly introduce myself to the folks I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. My name is Lindsay Little. I'm the founder of Full Bloom Acres Wellness, a virtual health coaching practice specializing in gut health for women over 40. I've helped over 200 women lose weight and resolve their embarrassing digestive issues, all without giving up their favorite foods, relying on willpower alone, or taking weight loss drugs. And the truth is, I'm so passionate about gut health. I live and breathe this stuff every day. In fact, the glorious gut philosophy is how I healed my own gut and lost weight. So I want to quickly share how I went from a frazzled mess with my own weight loss struggles to a leader in the gut coaching field, and how I discovered the strategy I'm going to share with you today. So my gut issues were so bad that my rock bottom was when I had to pull over on the side of the freeway to take a nap in the middle of a workday. So I have a before and after picture over here on the slide. I was exhausted all the time. I had gained about 30 pounds, a little bit more probably, and everything I ate made me feel absolutely terrible. After DIYing my own health for years, I made a last ditch decision and went to grad school to try to figure this all out. In the process, I accidentally became a health coach because I just had to share everything I was learning with whoever would listen, and even those who didn't really want to. As I was working with my first 100 or so women, I began to realize that after we got through the content on digestion or gut health, probably about 75% or so of those women came forward and said that they too had digestive issues. So I reverse engineered what was happening and how those women were losing so much weight. As I continued to work with more and more women, refining my process as I went, I realized that almost every single one of those women had digestive issues too. And as we tackled them, the weight began to fall off. I further refined this process to what it is today after bringing a total of over 200 women and counting, myself included, through it. Those women came to me for help with fixing their gut, but as they did the work to heal their guts, they lost a lot of weight. Weight loss coaches do not talk about the importance of gut health. That's why many of their programs simply don't work or don't work long term. They're not addressing one of the very likely root causes of weight gain, an imbalanced gut. You might be asking yourself at this point, well, if gut health is so important, why do more people not talk about it as a way to lose weight? And honestly, I don't know. Gut health is a very complicated topic. So my guess is that, as a scientific community, we're just starting to scratch the surface of understanding this very complex gut microbiome. I think it's exciting, but many coaches and practitioners just simply don't want to do the hard work of sifting through the research, listening to and networking with leading experts, or here's the kicker and probably the most likely reason: they can make a lot more money selling you expensive supplements and programs for the rest of your life rather than giving you the tools you need to heal. Changing your gut can change so many other areas of your life because it sets the stage for successful change. Think of gut health like the foundation to your body. You can't have a sturdy house without that rock solid foundation. Your gut microbiome is intense, so I'm going to try to simplify it for you today. I'm going to use the terms good gut bugs and bad gut bugs. And basically, the name of the game is to have more good guys and less bad guys. And most people who are struggling with their weight are lacking some of the really good guys that help with exactly that. This isn't going to be a science lesson, although you will learn a little bit about your body and what it's doing. This training is going to give you the exact step-by-step process I use with my own coaching clients. The best news of the day, you can begin changing your gut in as little as 24 hours. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. I do want to make a quick note about the latest weight loss drugs coming on the market. The most commonly one known is Ozempic, but there are many, many others. This is a very emotional and heated topic, but in reality, it doesn't need to be. It's everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it is one of the controversial topics we're going to talk about in this training. I don't want it to be a conversation necessarily about my own personal views on this topic, although given, the title of this training, you can probably guess what that is. So I don't want to advocate either way, but what I do want to advocate for is there needs to be more discussion about these drugs and their potential side effects before you sign up and commit to taking them for the rest of your life. They're doing some real damage out there, such as stomach paralysis. And if you don't know what that means, it basically means you can't digest your food. And that's really scary. That should scare everyone, right? That's a scary thing. I don't believe these drugs should be touted as the magic pills. And that's what many doctors, unfortunately, are doing with them. You still need to change your diet and your lifestyle, but that part isn't being talked about as much as it really should be. There is no magic pill for weight loss. Maybe someday there will be, but as of right now, with these current drugs that are available, we're not there yet. These are not the drugs for that. If you are considering one of these drugs, please listen to this training and then do some further research, because from what I'm hearing, there really isn't much of a discussion at all being done in the doctor's office. It's more of a first response whenever someone says they want to lose weight, or even now for children, which is very, very scary. There are other options out there, and that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And by the way, the strategy I'm sharing would be really super helpful for anyone currently on these drugs or coming off of them. So it really does apply to everyone. Okay, for the rest of our time together, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. You will learn how to overcome your intense food cravings so you can finally lose weight for good without relying on Ozempic or giving up all your favorite treats. You will learn how to stop effing up your food so you can support your body, lose weight, and feel satisfied, not deprived. You will learn how to optimize your digestion so your gut microbiome will work for you instead of against you on your quest to live a more healthy life filled with magical moments with your loved ones. The way to achieve all three of these is by using my signature framework called the Glorious Gut Philosophy, which highlights 3 secrets to silence your sweet tooth. Keep in mind, as we move forward, you are not meant to do all of this stuff at once. This isn't, a laundry list of things to just simply check off as quickly as possible and move on to the next. I would recommend you take on maybe 1 to 2 things, nail those, and then add on as you feel ready and is needed. For learning outcome number 1, we're going to take a deep dive into the Glorious Gut Philosophy and dissect it piece by beautiful piece. Lots of Schitt's Creek references. Can you tell? Big fan. Okay, so starting with step 1, we're going to stop effing up your food. So this step is the basis for learning what foods support your gut health and which foods derail it. We'll dive a little deeper into this step in a sec, but I just wanted to give you a super quick overview right now. So in this first step, you're going to decide if you want or need to follow a certain dietary pattern and how to set up your body to lessen those sugary or salty food cravings. Once you find the types of foods you want to eat, there's no right answer here. You get to decide. Then you will want to make a plan for eating enough food and in particular, enough protein. Probably the biggest mistake I see women over 40 make while trying to lose weight is that they're not eating enough. I'll show you how to change that. We also need to address blood sugar spikes and how your body responds to glucose or blood sugar. Blood sugar spikes, I should say, are largely responsible for those intense food cravings. And once you get your blood sugar under control, you will most likely feel a lot less of them. Keep in mind, this is not just a concern for diabetics or for people approaching the prediabetes mark. This is for everyone. Recently, I started working on blood sugar control with one of my clients because she was still having some digestive issues and still just wasn't where she wanted to be. She had amazing results once we tackled the blood sugar aspect. She's a busy mom. She exercises 5 days a week and had zero blood sugar issues, at least according to her doctor. But when she began implementing the steps we'll talk about today, within a week, she felt significantly less bloated and her cravings for cookies virtually stopped, all because of the small changes I'll be sharing with you. So in step number 2, I call this section Make the Basics Your Biatch. The alternative title, Slay Your Everyday. So if you want the PG version, you have to let me know which you like better. The way you live your life day to day has such a big impact on your overall health through your entire lifetime, really. Gone are those days of solely looking at exercise and nutrition as two totally separate approaches to health. Small, healthy habits that you do every day pave the way for big, lasting change. The opposite, though, is also true. If you have terrible habits, those will also compound day after day, but not in a good way. That can be why it's so hard to get off that hamster wheel. We're not going to spend too much time today on this step because it really is specific to each person. But I just want to share a few helpful tips to kind of get you started thinking about this. In this section of the Glorious Gut philosophy, we're going to look at things like exercise and activity level, stress, relationships with others, work-life balance, mindset, and how your specific daily habits affect your overall health. In my experience as a health coach, most people have a general idea of what they should be doing more of or less of. Think of that person, for example, who rarely exercises. She knows she should exercise. She really doesn't need a health coach to tell her that. But what she does need is a plan for how to do that in a way that works for her busy schedule. So she'll actually do it. Or think of the person who has zero free time. She's always hustling from thing to thing, rarely slowing down. Maybe you can relate to one of these too. She knows stress is likely a factor in her health, but she needs to find ways to delegate or simplify her life. That's again very specific to her. If you take nothing else away from this training, please let it be this. So if you're multitasking here, come back. I want you to hear this because it's super, super important. Doing the basics consistently will get you further than anything else. So we often want that next best, shiny, sexy new thing. But if you're not seeing the results you want, go back to the basics because it's a pretty safe bet that some of those basics could use some improvement. An idea that I use with many of my clients is this idea that I borrowed from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. He uses the 1% rule. And what this means in a nutshell is that if you aim to be 1% better every day, you will make so much more progress than if you aim to be 50% better tomorrow and stop. The reason this idea works is due to compounding success, just like compounding interest in the banking world. But I think the real beauty here is that you're much less likely to quit something or get overwhelmed even if you aim to be just 1% better. Mic drop right there, right? We could probably end there, but we won't. Let's keep going. So in step number 3 of the Glorious Gut philosophy, you need kick-ass digestion. So once you learn to stop effing up your food, your digestion will improve. But usually There's more to it, and this stage is where we get to dig a little bit deeper. These two sections might sound like the same thing, but from a gut health perspective, they're really not. This is especially important for those feeling like their hormones are out of whack or with chronic digestive issues, where changing food just isn't enough. This is also the step that really addresses why the things that used to work for you to lose weight no longer work. So in my practice, I use functional lab testing and other assessments to help identify and then relieve these imbalances. Did you know that the reason those new fancy weight loss drugs work is because they're using what we know about gut health to create a reaction in your body? Many women I test don't have adequate levels of very specific gut bug that controls the hormones that make them feel full. So they're always hungry. As your hormones change and fluctuate naturally throughout your life, your digestion mimics those changes. So if your digestion sucks, so do your hormones. Don't worry, we'll come back to this in just a second. Okay, are you still with me? How are we doing? I feel my throat getting dry, so apologize if I have to stop and take a sip of water every few minutes here. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into the first part of the Glorious Gut philosophy. First, I'm going to show you specifically how to stop effing up your food. There is no one right way to eat for everyone or one way that everyone should eat. Wouldn't that be easy? It'd make things very, very simple. But there just isn't. If you have certain dietary restrictions, such as a food sensitivity or a food allergy, you may need to be a little more strict with this. Going forward, I'm going to use the term diet to mean eating pattern, not an actual diet per se. If you don't need to follow a certain diet, you may choose to follow one. That's your choice. You get to choose. Some of the most common are vegan or plant-based, vegetarian, Mediterranean, or something else. You get to decide how you want to get the nutrients into your body. You can lose weight following almost any type of diet or eating pattern, so don't put too much pressure on it. Some will be more difficult than others, but it largely depends on where you're starting from and really where you want to go. So in this step, when you're focusing on food, you will identify if you want or need to follow a certain eating pattern and what that is, keeping in mind it can change. You're not stuck with any one way to eat. You get to decide, and you get to decide if you want to change, if it's not working for you. There is no right answer to that, except for those with food allergies. You'll also want to identify any trigger foods that make your symptoms worse. For example, I see this a lot with those suffering from acid reflux or heartburn. You need to be honest here and get real, okay? It's some tough love time. If you continue to eat the foods that make you feel terrible, you will continue to feel terrible. Keep in mind, for many people, this is likely just temporary to avoid these trigger foods, okay? Okay, continuing on with our food. If you want to lose weight, you really do need to track what you eat. This is a really simple step, but many people don't want to do it. Or they'll do it for a day and then give up. It's not something that you need or really should do forever. But if you're in a fat loss phase or you're trying to be, you really do need to be tracking. Here's the thing. If you're watching this right now, it's pretty safe to assume you have no idea how much you are eating or how much you should be eating. No judgment here. It's just something we need to acknowledge so we can learn and move on. The first time I tracked my food, I was floored, and I'm a nutritionist, right? So don't feel bad about any of this. It's not your fault, right? Losing weight is hard. I'm not going to lie and say that it's easy. If it were easy, we'd all be walking around skinny and whatever weight we want to be, right? But this is hard. But if you're not tracking the food that you eat, you're missing out on the best source of data that you can get. So how do you get started with this? It's very simple. I make this very, very simple for you. Use a free food tracking app. I like MyFitnessPal. And for just 2 weeks, just record what you eat. Don't try to hit any of those preset goals that it gives you. Don't try to do any of that. Just record what you eat. After 2 weeks, then you can focus on your protein goal. This is one very common mistake many women who are trying to lose weight make. They cut substantial calories. They may even cut out an entire meal. And many of those calories that are cut come from protein. And if you're not eating enough protein, you will not lose fat. So notice that I'm saying fat here and not weight. Just by eating less, you will probably lose weight. Yep, that's true. But the weight you're losing is likely going to come from muscle mass, which is a terrible idea. Even worse, your body might also be stealing nutrients from your bones, such as calcium, which is an even worse idea, especially if you're in menopause, okay? This is one of the reasons that bone health is such an issue as we get older. But if you eat more protein, you will nourish your body so that it feels safe to lose fat, which is the ultimate goal, right? That's the difference between fat loss and weight loss. So a quick note here on tracking your food. While I do recommend to almost everyone to track food, there are some exceptions. So if tracking your food is bringing up a lot of just really uncomfortable feelings, or you've struggled with disordered eating patterns in the past, tracking in the way that I'm describing here is probably not the best idea. There are other approaches, and that's something I'd be more than happy to discuss with you. Okay, so let's carry on with our conversation here. Oops, sorry, just putting my camera on. Okay. So don't get too caught up right now with the carbohydrates and the fat. I want you to really, really focus on protein. This is a biggie, especially as we're getting older, right? A good general recommendation for women over 40 who want to lose weight is to eat at least 30 grams of protein at 3 meals and one snack every day. 4 times a day if you're doing the math. This will help you go into fat burning mode. It's a bit of a trial and error process to see what works best for you as far as timing and just kind of splitting it up. But I will tell you, there's likely a little bit of wiggle room in there. Not so you really don't have to try to be perfect, unless you're training for like a bodybuilder competition or something. Like my bodybuilders out there, yeah, they need to be very, very precise. But for most of us, we don't need that level of precision. Okay, so you're focusing on protein. There's another P word that you're going to need to eat more of, and that is going to be plants. So plants contain fiber, and fiber makes your gut happy. It's what your good gut bugs eat. So doctors have been telling us for years that eating fiber helps with weight loss and other conditions, right? Metamucil. Many people think that automatically means to take benefiber or Metamucil, right? That's not what I'm talking about with this. No one wants to do that, right? Maybe you've tried and stopped because it's terrible. No one wants to count grams of fiber. I can tell you, you're not eating enough fiber, okay? Most of us don't, so it's a pretty safe assumption to say that. I don't need you to count, okay? Instead, what I have my clients do is count how many plants that they eat each week. The goal is to eat at least 30 different plants. There's no fiber in meat or dairy, so that's why I'm saying to count plants. And any plant counts. So think of vegetables, think of fruits, whole grains, things like that. Basically, in very simple terms, if it doesn't come from an animal, with the exception of alcohol, it's a plant, okay? Or it counts as a plant. So beans to broccoli to oatmeal, fresh herbs, they all contain different food for your good gut bugs. So eating a variety is really where it's at. When you eat at least 30 different plants each week, you don't have a lot of wiggle room there to eat all that other junk, like all that other ultra processed stuff that you should be eating less of. So it's kind of a two-prong approach there, which is really fun. Okay, the final piece of the food conversation here has to do with blood sugar. We can't talk about weight loss or gut health even without having the blood sugar conversation. This stat floored me when I heard it. Over 90% of us have blood sugar control issues, and most of us don't even know it. We often think only diabetics need to think about their blood sugar, but that's simply not true. When you have too much glucose in your system or blood sugar, and then you eat something with sugar or starch in it, what happens is your blood sugar spikes. It goes up naturally. That's just what happens. And the problem with that, these frequent and intense spikes can lead to disease. It's especially important when it comes to controlling cravings. So, in very simple terms here, what's happening when your blood sugar spikes and then drops way down below the baseline? This happens when you eat ice cream. So you eat ice cream, like if I need a chart, I need to put a chart in here. Baseline is kind of right here, right? You eat ice cream, your blood sugar spikes, and then it's going to dip down as your body deals with it. The problem is if this is baseline, it drops way below your base, way below your normal level. And then your body says, oh my gosh, I have low blood sugar. I'm going to pass out. I'm going to start getting all shaky and stuff. So, hey, eat more sugar, eat starch, eat something sweet to get that blood sugar back up. So it's way down here. You eat some cookies, it goes way back up again. Then it goes down. And you are in this hamster wheel of a situation here. And it's really, really difficult to get your body back to that normal blood sugar level. That's why those cravings are so intense. That's why you can eat just a ridiculous amount of ice cream or eat the whole bag of cookies without even feeling hungry or without feeling satisfied, right? You're still hungry. Okay, so what do you do? Hopefully that made sense. I know I need to get like a visual in there. There are many ways, luckily, that we can combat this really, really easily. So here are three super easy and free things that you can start doing right away. So first up, eat food in the correct order. So fiber first, think of plants again, what like we just talked about, which it actually slows down the absorption of sugar into your body. So it's really good. It's like a sponge. So fiber, then protein, then fat, finally your carbohydrates. Eat those guys last. Another thing you can try is to not eat naked carbs. Always have fiber, protein, or fat with them. That includes fruit. So an apple is actually does make your blood sugar spike pretty high. Have a little peanut butter with it, have some almond butter, have a handful of almonds, maybe a little cheese if you do dairy. That's going to help it still will spike, but it won't spike as high. And that's what what we're looking for there. Finally, another super easy thing that you can do, move after you eat. It could be as simple as 30 squats during a commercial break, a 10-minute walk around the block. Maybe you do an actual workout. It's your choice. But moving not only helps with blood sugar control, but it also is going to help with digestion. Okay, so let's recap here. You with me? I hope you're nodding along. Okay, so silencing your cravings using food. Step one, decide if you're following a certain eating pattern. Step two, track your food and in particular, track your protein. We're aiming for 30 grams 4 times a day. Number three, eat more plants. Number four, manage your blood sugar spikes. All right, got it? How are we feeling with that? Let's move on here. Let's get into how you can have kick-ass digestion. So this step, it's not the same as eating the foods to support your body as, we just had talked about. Even though it does, contain many of the same players, so it sounds very similar. The goal, let me get on the right side. There we go. The goal with this step is to focus on taking all those good foods that you're now eating and then turning them into energy that your body can use. We do that by pulling out as many nutrients as we can from that food. So let's start with everyone's favorite super controversial topic, supplements. Remember I told you we were talking about a lot of controversial things today? Let's go. Let's get one thing straight before we dive into this conversation. You cannot supplement your way out of a shitty diet. Let's be super, super clear about that. Supplements are not magic pills. They can be very, very effective, but they're also not risk-free and they're not magic pills. You still need to do the work. They should be used to fill in the little holes of your diet and lifestyle, not replace good, healthy habits. I always recommend working with a qualified practitioner regarding supplements. I know it seems so easy to just go into a drugstore or grocery store and, there's vitamin C, let's take it off the shelf. It seems so easy, right? And they seem so harmless. But the fact is that you really do want to be sure you're taking the correct dosage for safety, but also for effectiveness. There's no use spending your money on a supplement that you just don't need, right? I see many people who will take a supplement for a few weeks and then say it doesn't work and stop. But the reality is, can you really feel, for example, if your vitamin D level is increasing? No, not directly. It can take months before you see that change in your blood work. And that's really the only way to know for sure. So I recommend commit to 3 months and then reassess depending on the situation and how you're feeling, okay? Because I don't want you spending money on supplements that you don't need, okay? And if you are taking a supplement, I want that money to be going to a good use, right? Constantly changing them up isn't going to do any good, and it's probably honestly going to waste you a ton of time and money. You need one plan and you need to stick to that plan, okay? So since we're talking about weight loss and controlling cravings as it relates to your gut, you need to make sure your body is able to digest the food you eat. Otherwise, the reality is you could eat the most perfect diet, if there was such a thing, and it just simply wouldn't matter. You would still be malnourished. You could still be deficient if you can't absorb those nutrients. I think this is why gut health plays such a huge, huge role in weight loss. So if I can help you absorb more of those nutrients you eat, then your body will be happy. And when your body is happy, cravings are a lot less. The big piece of this puzzle is your gut lining and its strength. So I'm talking about your colon or your large intestine when I say your gut lining. It's one cell thick, that lining of your colon, one cell thick. So think of like a piece of hair, it's smaller than that. And it's designed to let the things your body needs come out, like get out of your colon and into your bloodstream while keeping the things that your body doesn't need inside your colon so that it can be disposed of. Okay. It's the barrier. It's the gut barrier. So the things it wants to dispose of would be, food particles, toxins, and other garbage that can lead to disease. We don't want that getting out into your bloodstream, right? Then we get a lot of autoimmune conditions, we get other health conditions, other diseases. When your gut lining is damaged or letting that stuff into your bloodstream, we call it leaky gut. Think of like a screen on your window or a door. If there's a big giant hole in it, like with leaky gut, you're going to let in that gross, disgusting June bug that comes in and, gets stuck in your hair, and it's super disgusting. Don't do that. Your job is to strengthen your gut lining so it can be the hero of your gut. You do that by doing the things we're talking about today, and that includes supplements. They can be very, very helpful if you have leaky gut issues. So again, I'd recommend working with a practitioner, but the top 5 gut healthy or gut lining support supplements that I would recommend are right here. So vitamin D, super, super important for so many functions of the body, and a lot of people are deficient in it. It's a huge player in your gut lining. Also, it helps to regulate inflammation of your gut. Ideally, you also need to supplement with vitamins K1 and K2 for absorption, but work with your practitioner to make sure that combination is right for you. Supplement number 2, magnesium citrate. So there are many, many forms of magnesium that can help with a whole bunch of different things, from sleep to brain health to muscle strength. But magnesium citrate is exclusively for pooping. It's not absorbed by the body, but it's used by your gut microbiome. Your gut bugs are huge, huge feeders of magnesium. And if you have trouble with regularity, it's probably worth giving magnesium citrate a try. And be careful here, I'm talking about the pill forms, the capsules, not that little bottle of magnesium citrate that you chug before a colonoscopy, okay? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the pills. Okay, next up we have omega-3s, so especially DHA and EPA. We know they're essential for brain health, but they're also recommended for supporting the gut lining. Only makes sense, right? If your brain or your gut is the second brain, things that are good for your brain are good for your gut. Supplement number 4, glutamine here. This is a great one for building muscle. So if you're trying to put on muscle, L-glutamine will be your best friend. Even better, it's showing some really positive impacts and on improving the strength and integrity of the gut lining. It's a big, big one. Finally, perhaps the most controversial supplement of all of them, a multivitamin. Nothing fancy. We want a really super high quality one though. This is where quality really does matter. So new research within the past year or so is favoring taking a high quality multivitamin to help with good overall health. I will say, I think it's really important here if you're not eating 30 different plants a week, or if you're having any sort of digestive issue, because those are both signs that you're not getting the nutrients that you need, or you're not absorbing them very well. So just cover your bases with a good multivitamin. Now, I'm not going to give dosages here because that's really largely dependent on each person and the supplement itself and what you're trying to accomplish. But this is a great starting point to kind of fine tune your plan a little bit. Okay, so there are also special foods that you can start to eat that will help to improve your digestion and the strength of your gut barrier. I will add here, if you have some major digestive issues, these foods can actually make your symptoms worse until your gut is healed. So start low and slow. Remember that phrase, low and slow. Slowly increasing the amount you eat to a full serving. Going all in right away can be a recipe for disaster. Ask me how I know this. There are supplement forms of these, but I do think it's always best to get as many nutrients as possible from food, but I recognize sometimes that's not always possible. That's why supplements are available. Again, we need to fill in the holes or use higher dosages than we can with food. That's where a supplement would come in. So let's talk about prebiotic fiber-rich foods first. Like we mentioned earlier, gone are the days of just counting fiber. It's not what matters. What matters is if you're feeding your good gut bugs, and they eat prebiotic fiber. Basically, these are the parts of the plants that you as a human can't digest, but your gut bugs do. So if you're not eating these foods, there's a good chance you're starving your good gut bugs. And without that delicate balance, you're going to have a difficult time losing weight and really start to see digestive issues like constipation, diarrhea, bloating, food sensitivities, and even heartburn. So I listed on the slide here some of my favorite probiotic rich foods. Many of them you're probably familiar with. You just didn't know how good they were. Make this simple. So if you see some on there that maybe you already eat, awesome. But if you see a few that are new to you, might worth getting it in there, giving it a try. Use what we talked about earlier with eating at least 30 different plants each week and make a good chunk of those 30 your prebiotic rich foods. Okay, next up, let's talk about probiotic rich foods. It's not a typo, although I know it looks like it. Before we dig into this, I know again there's a lot of controversy around taking probiotic supplements. Just know it's usually best to get your probiotics from food if you can. I love the food first approach. Probiotics are the living organisms of your gut or your good gut bugs, whether they're in pill or food form, okay? So I added this picture over here just so that you can recognize probiotics are the living things, the little buggy things. Prebiotics are the actual, like the fiber, the actual food itself. And there are, there's many cases, a lot of my clients who have gut imbalances, do need higher dosages than, they eating a ridiculous amount of sauerkraut. It just isn't realistic, right? So we might need to use a specific probiotic that has a higher dosage, or if we're looking at increasing, like Ancharmacia is one that I often have to work with people to increase. We'll take one probiotic, like a supplement that specifically is Akkermansia. So that is just something to where supplements do come into play here, okay? And really, like I said, with the prebiotic foods, just go low and slow. You're wanting to add some of these ideally to every meal, but with probiotics at least once a day, it might be too much. So go low and slow with it, test it out. It's really, because we're talking about sauerkraut, we'll just say, like, the reason that many people get really stinky gas when they eat sauerkraut, guess what? It's because their body isn't digesting it well. So they would need to slow down and work your way up to it, okay? Finally, in this section, I want to just briefly talk about the importance of eating raw plants. Raw plant foods contain enzymes, which are destroyed when you cook them. So cooking a plant at any temperature, I think it's above 110 degrees. I have to go back and look at the exact number. It kills all the enzymes. It's no longer a living food. So it's a really good idea to get a mix of both raw and cooked plants into your diet every day. There's certain compounds, some chemicals that are more abundant in raw plants and others that are more abundant in cooked. But don't try to get too specific with it. You will drive yourself crazy. A really easy strategy that you can use to check a ton of things off your list that we're talking about today is to eat a big old salad at least once a day. You can check off so many categories with one big giant salad. That's what I eat for lunch every day. Prebiotics, probiotics, raw plants, cooked plants, protein, and fiber. Plus, you're eating veggies or leafy greens first. You're going to help manage your blood sugar. And guess what? You're not eating naked carbs. Win, win, win. Make it easy. Now, on to the final part of the kick-ass digestion phase of the glorious gut philosophy. Poop. You knew you weren't getting out of this without talking about poop, right? We're going there today. You really, again, like I said with blood sugar, you can't talk about gut health without talking about poop. So, basics. What's in poop? Dead microbes, blood cells, waste products, damaged cells, unused or old estrogen, toxins, and food particles your body no longer needs. You should be pooping a minimum of at least once a day. Those who eat a plant-based diet with a lot of fiber will go maybe 2 to 3 times a day, and that's normal for them. So first things first, if you're not pooping every day, you need to relieve that constipation. That alone will help you lose weight. Get on a regular schedule, which means that food takes the correct amount of time to leave your body rather than runs right through it, which is diarrhea, or sits there and hangs out a little too long. That's constipation. If your waste is hanging out in your body longer than it should be, your large intestine or your colon is going to start pulling some of that waste and putting it back into circulation within your body. Those are things that were meant to be disposed of. It doesn't know that's what it's for, why it's sitting there. It just knows that it's sitting there like food that needs to be digested. So it'll go to work digesting it. This can be one of the ways that women develop an estrogen dominance. So basically, your liver is what takes out old estrogen from circulation, packages it up, puts a nice pretty bow on it, and sends it to be eliminated through your poop. If your poop is just sitting there for days, so if you're constipated, that estrogen can actually get reabsorbed and recirculated. And welcome to having estrogen dominance. Okay, let's check in here for a sec. How are you feeling about the glorious gut philosophy? If you followed what I shared with you in stage 1 and started looking at the root cause of your weight gain through what you do every day, including the food you're eating, and then you followed along with stage 2 and fine-tuned your diet to focus on eating enough protein and balancing your blood sugar, and then finally, you followed stage 3 and optimized your digestion to ensure you're absorbing all those really amazing nutrients that your body needs. Do you think you could implement this in your own life and have success silencing your sweet tooth? I hope you're feeling like, hell yeah, let's go. And I am so excited for you to do this. There are a few things that I want to make sure you understand about your new health plan. I believe you can make the strategy work on your own if you put in the time, the commitment, effort, and as you've seen today, there are so many variables to make the strategy work the way it's supposed to. And let's face it, you're just not going to get it all right on the first try. So if you've got all you need to do it yourself, right? This is what over 200 women, I've helped them get major weight loss results. This is the process we've used. So you have it all to do it on your own. If you walk away from this and go at it alone, I do want you to be aware of a few things just so you know what to expect here. So first up, you're not going to be perfect at this. You're going to try some things and they just won't work, and that's okay. Everyone is different and it can really take some time to figure out what your body really needs. It's not an overnight process. Also, you may still have some cravings and that's totally normal. We are trying to get those cravings down to a manageable level so they don't control you and your life. So if you still have some, especially with your monthly cycles, don't burn it all down and start over. It's normal. Next, the people in your life are going to judge you and they will challenge you. When you decide to make changes to your health naturally, those around you begin to examine and possibly feel guilty about their own choices. It's not your fault. It's just something to be aware of, okay? It's just what happens. They may become upset, or worst case scenario, they may even try to sabotage your efforts. I see that a lot. It's totally normal. You will get through it. You do you and give them the space to do their own thing, okay? Next up, it will feel weird to eat differently than everyone else or, get up and exercise when everyone else is sleeping in. That's okay too, but it is a challenge. So just be aware. Don't give in to peer pressure. You do you here. And finally, whatever you do, please don't quit. Keep going. Promise me that, okay? It took me years of testing, optimizing, and analyzing my data and my process, basically focusing on nothing else to get my strategy fully optimized. I've also had the pleasure of working with over 200 women, so I was able to see firsthand their struggles, pitfalls, and successes, which gave me even more data to work with and to try things out. Not everyone has that kind of time and energy to test things out. So if you do this solo, the only way to know if your digestion is improving is to try something out. Wait for a little bit and see if your symptoms are less. There are some areas where you probably will see an immediate response, but healing your gut, depending on the severity of the damage, can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months if you don't fall off the gut health bandwagon. And sometimes you're not even going to know why things improved. So take a look here. These are all the things that you want to know as you go through the Glorious Gut philosophy. So things like, do I have a parasite? What pathogens are overgrown? What are my levels of bacteria? Do I have signs of SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or candida? How well is my stomach digesting protein? How is my pancreas and small intestine doing? What's my gallbladder up to? What if I don't have a gallbladder? Are you reacting to gluten, soy, nightshades, histamine, FODMAPs? How many calories should I eat in a day? And we kind of go on and on and on with this, right? These are all things that you want to know. And if you'll remember from science class, the right way to test or assess is to change one variable at a time. So this can become a huge time suck because you've got to test everything. But you can also skip the hundreds of hours of searching for healthy recipes on Pinterest, researching the best supplements, taking all those self-help quizzes, and spending more and more time in the gym. And I would love to share with you how I can help cut down on so much of that trial and error phase so you can find out what's really going on in your gut. Start a very customized supplement protocol, have a meal plan that's created just for you and your family, and troubleshoot all the social situations that are bound to put a damper on your day. Is there anyone here who's thinking you might like to get started with ditching those cravings and losing weight in the next 3 to 6 months or so? And if so, would you like to hear a little bit more about how I can help you do that in a totally customized and more efficient way? All right, cool. Your next step is to schedule a totally free consultation call with me where you and I can talk about all your goals, the things that have worked in the past, and the most challenging things you're dealing with right now. I only offer 6 of these calls each month, and they do fill up quickly, so don't wait long to claim your spot. This is a very casual call, just like this, either over the phone or Zoom, and it takes about 30 to 40 minutes. I'll make sure that we can talk through all your ideas and have time to answer all of your questions. So what can you expect on this call? You get my undivided attention for a full call. I'll listen to your concerns in a way that your doctor simply can't do in 10 minutes, right? I'll ask you questions to help you dive a little deeper and sort through ideas you've had about what to do next. And you'll walk away feeling heard, hopeful, and have a plan in hand for what to do next. Additionally, you will also walk away with a free digestive health questionnaire, which will uncover hidden or not so hidden areas for improvement. I'll help you set actionable and realistic goals so you know what you're working towards and what it will look like and feel like when you get there. And I'll put together a customized package just for you based on your health goals and how much support you want from me on this journey. One of the reasons why working with me directly using the Glorious Gut philosophy is because I utilize comprehensive stool testing and additional tools so you know exactly what's going on in your gut. This isn't the same stool test that your doctor might use, and this isn't just a good to know information. We actually use that report that you get from those tests to actually put into practice and come up with a plan for how to tackle those challenges. This is really the best way to determine all those things that I mentioned about your gut barrier and your gut bug balance so you don't have to guess. And remember that super long annoying list I showed you a few minutes ago? So we can check off over half this list. So all the stuff on this side with a simple stool test and a digestive health questionnaire. We can see what's most likely causing your constipation or diarrhea, which supplements might be most beneficial, and how well your digestive organs are doing their job. This testing is the way to truly customize this process and get a completely tailored plan specific to the strengths and barriers of your own body. How cool is that? And yep, knowing exactly what's going on down there will help save you time and money so you can move through the process with less hiccups. And the other half of this list here, I have strategies and tools for all of those as well. Okay, so I'll pop the link into the chat to schedule a free consultation call, but you can also just type this website here into a new browser right now, or you can scan this QR code if you're not watching this on your phone. And basically what will happen, you'll go right to my calendar where you can select a date and a time that works for you. Just a reminder, I only offer 6 of these calls each month, so don't wait too long, okay? And here are quick testimonials from some of my former clients who are once sitting exactly where you are now. So we have Mary. Mary came to me, she was pre-diabetic. She wanted to lose about 15 pounds and very active. Her and her husband traveled a lot and she just was not feeling great. So she ended up through targeted supplement protocols, through some gut testing and just dietary and lifestyle changes. She ended up losing 17 pounds and she said she's sleeping so much better. She was actually taken out of the pre-diabetic phase, which is awesome. And then we have Dana here. You might recognize Dana from some of the marketing materials if you saw those emails go out. So Dana came to me. She had just had a double knee replacement surgery about 6 months before. She's still in a ton of pain. She struggled to walk to the mailbox to get the mail. Just really not happy with how she was feeling. And she decided to purchase a coaching program with me where we really focused on food. We really found great recipes for her that both her and her husband loved. She really was struggling with a sweet tooth. So if there were donuts anywhere at work, she could smell them. She said she was like a dog, like whose nose could just smell out donuts. And she was able to get through that where she could have, if she wanted a donut, she could have just one and didn't feel like she had to eat all of them. Or she could just simply walk by the break room and not have a donut. And she felt good about that. So Dana ended up losing over 30 pounds, and she not only could walk to her mailbox, but she actually, at the time we wrapped up her coaching program, she signed up for a 5K and she walked that with her family, which was amazing. And then we have Libby. So Libby lost over 30 pounds as well. And she was fun because Libby was trying to gain muscle. That was her goal. Her goal wasn't necessarily weight loss. She wanted to heal her digestive issues and really focus on building muscle and just being really fit and active. So she ended up losing 30 pounds. She gained muscle and she just had the energy to do the workouts, the types of workouts that she wanted. Okay. So really, really fun. Okay, so just a couple of questions. Like as you're thinking through this, how do you want to feel in a year? How do you want to feel in 6 months? If you really spend some time and kind of thought about that, how do you want to feel? Do you want to be proud? Do you want to be happy? If you go through this process, utilize the Glorious Gut philosophy, how will your life be different? Will you be able to retire? Will you be able to ask for that promotion because you're finally not ashamed to stand up in front of, employees at your office or be on camera, because you feel good about your body? Will your kiddos maybe be eating healthy and maybe you don't dread going to the doctor? Maybe, you'll love your life and all the wonderful progress you've made. Where will you be in a year? Where will you be in 6 months? And how will you feel? Just take some time, pause this, take some time, think of that, sit with that feeling. Take a few deep breaths and just really, how do you want to feel? Because that feeling, the incredible feeling that you're thinking of right now, it is possible. Mary, Dana, Libby, and the 200 other women I've worked with say it is. Okay. They were sitting right where you are. And I know you can do this. But really, it's up to you to take the first step. Whether that's taking all of this info and doing it on your own, or you want me to help you along the way, I can be your guide. What you do when you get off this training, that's the next step. Okay. So, again, if you want my help doing all of that, I'd love to help you. So I'll put the website again in the chat for you to schedule that consult. But again, here's the website. Here's the QR code. Let's do it. Um, so the freebie for joining me live today, we have the free digestive health questionnaire. So if you're here live, you can definitely download that. The link's in the chat here again. And this is the Mac Daddy of health questionnaires. So I know you're thinking, Lindsay, I wanted something really cool, not a test. I hear you, but this assessment, it is super cool. It's the first thing that I actually have all of my clients complete because it gives us so much information. And I wanted to give you this assessment today because if you're going to do this on your own, you're going to need to know where to start. And this assessment will help to give you an idea. So it'll go through and help you assess your digestive system section by section. It's really cool. Don't worry, they're very, very easy questions. There's no wrong answer. I promise it won't take you more than 5 minutes to go through the entire thing. And when you're done, after you've added up all the sections, it will help you, it'll make it pretty clear where you need to start. Maybe it's leaky gut, maybe it's low stomach acid, maybe you're having possible wheat reactions. It will give you insights into your digestive tract that you probably never knew. And it connects some of those dots. And again, if you schedule that consultation call that we just talked about, I'll interpret this questionnaire for you and give you actionable next steps. So I can help you get there easier and faster by sorting out what all of this means to you, okay? So I hope you love it. Okay, so I pulled a couple of frequently asked questions that you're probably wondering, but go ahead and pop anything in the chat if you have another question. I just have three, I think there are three here, four, that most people ask. So I just wanted to address those. Then we'll open it up to open coaching if anyone has any, okay? So question number one, how much fat and carbs should I eat? So your macro breakdown is highly individualized, okay? But like we said with protein, you're wanting to hit that 30 to 40 or 30 grams 4 times a day. And it'll be about 30 to 40% of your energy budget. And then your carbs and fat, depending on health goals, is where you're going to kind of move those numbers around. Obviously, it needs to add up to 100%, right? So it might be, like a 30% protein, 40% carbs, 30% fat, something like that. Please do not go under 30% with fat, though. Fat is super important for hormone health, especially as we're getting older, especially if we're talking about menopause, right? We need those healthy fats in there, okay? Sounds counterintuitive, but trust me. And then that leads into the question number two. How many calories should I eat? Calorie intake, again, or your energy budget is highly, highly individualized, but in general, women need at least 2,000 calories a day. If you're really active, it may need to be higher than that. If you're trying to lose fat, a calorie restriction of about 25%, maybe a little bit more. We're not a fan of drastic reductions for a limited time can help, but it really does depend on your energy needs. So restriction for limited time, get in of that energy deficit, get out as quickly as you can, okay? What's included in a coaching program? So the level of support really does depend on the customized program, and that's why I do these consultation calls before we get started. So I have a really good idea of what supports you might need, what you want, what level of commitment you're at, all those fun things, time, all that. So it really does depend, and I come up with a customized plan for you after that call if you want to continue working with me. All of the clients I work with do get access to discounts on functional lab testing, discounts on super high quality supplements, meal plans and recipes, and tons of other resources. Plus, one-on-one coaching is the foundation to all of that. And final question, do you take insurance? No. So I do not take insurance. That's a good thing because that means insurance companies are not dictating how I can work with people and what supports you receive. I do, however, take FSA or HSA cards. So if you can swipe it, my payment processor will take it as long as I would verify with your provider that wellness services will be covered on there. So just double check to be safe. I do have payment plans as well. We are getting to the end of the year, so if you have some of those benefits left over, this might be a great way to use that if you're interested in coaching. And just a reminder, the consultation call is free. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat. So, let me put this back up here. So again, we have the website to schedule a consultation call and then the QR code to it if you want. The recording of this will be sent out, so just be aware of that. You'll have a few days to watch the recording, and please, let me know if you have questions or there's anything else that you're wondering about there. Okay, I think that wraps it up for today. So I just want to thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for spending this a little bit over an hour with me today. I hope you have a really wonderful day and cheers to your health. All right, have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.